Aori was a normal high schooler living in modern-day Japan, where he spent his life in peace with his younger sister. But everything changes when his sister gets a chronically deadly disease with no cure known to man. The cost of treatment is so high that Aori couldn't even dream about paying the fee with a normal part-time job, so instead he turns towards the world of social media in the hopes of getting a quick buck. Unfortunately, he is not a mediocre-looking girl with an attitude problem who can post some thirst traps and start earning millions, so he was forced to find a new niche for himself. He decides to become a hated YouTuber who everyone watched because they hated him so much and wanted him to pay for everything that he has done till now. His social media presence started growing as he would call out professional respected fighters and then jump them on camera, beating the shit out of them without any respect, and spit on them before running away like a coward. This really irritated the viewers, who used to call him a coward piece of crap who can't win a fair fight. But Aori didn't really care for it, as it simply used to increase his viewer retention and other analytics. Most recently, he jumped a very beloved MMA content creator and beat the crap out of him with deceit before running away from the police. This has been the talk of the town, as he overhears everyone talking about how this piece of shit Jake Paul-esque YouTuber needs to get his ass whooped. Aori doesn't care though, and simply goes through his comments and finds a burning hatred for himself in his own comments section. But it doesn't matter, as he laughs and checks his revenue, which is through the roof at this point. Soon he gets off at the next station and enters the hospital where his sister has been admitted for a while now. He finds her staring at her phone, so he tells her to lay down and rest for a while. Akari responds by saying that she was resting the whole day and now she wants to talk to him and asks where he was. He can't really tell her about his money-making scheme, so he lies that he had some things that he needed to deal with and he was a little busy with that. He hands her a bag of sweets, but Akari knows that he has a weak spot when it comes to sweets and asks how many has he had today. At first Aori lies and replies that he had 3. But Akari is not so easily fooled and tells him to reveal the truth, and Aori replies that he had 6 cakes before coming here. Akari scolds him, claiming that he needs to be more careful with his health and should limit himself to 1 sweet a day, and starts asking whether he is ever taking care of himself, or he is pulling all-nighters again and not doing any laundry. Soon she starts eating her piece of cake, but even that is too much for her, and she starts coughing, which scares Aori, and he runs to call the nurse. But Akari stops him, claiming that she is going to be okay. Akari doesn't know why her body is refusing to work with her, but Aori tells him not to lose any hope, as their trip to us is in a month, and there a super doctor will have a look at her and deal with any issues she has. Akari is not sure though, as she has heard about the medical bills in the US for a band-aid, but her brother tells her not to worry, as he has everything under his control and money won't be an issue thanks to his well-paying side gig. Later that day, he thinks about the days at the orphanage when the old warden used to teach all the orphans there to always do the right thing no matter how difficult it may be. But Aori has gone completely against it. If there was a way to earn good money with hard work, he would do that. But unfortunately, he never had the opportunity to attend a good school, and the only thing he has is a tough body which is good at fights. He thinks about how he has gone against everything he was taught at the orphanage, but he doesn't really care, as he is ready to burn the entire world if it means that he can save Akari. A month passes by since that day, and Aori had been completely inactive on his social media account, and word on the street is that either he got killed by an angry mobster or he has completely retired. Aori, however, is not dead and is doing well in his 1-room apartment, eating pudding cups from a general store and talking to Akari on his phone, asking whether she would want some. Akari replies that she would love to have some chocolate pudding, so Aori promises to bring some when he comes to visit her again. He seems content with his life and soon heads off to sleep with the phone in his hand, which I can relate to. Later in the night, while he was having some pleasant dreams, he is suddenly woken up by a sudden noise and is horrified to see a figure looming on top of him with a goddamn sledgehammer. The intruder tries to slam the hammer on top of him, but thanks to his quick reflexes, he manages to dodge out of the way. The intruder calls him an asshole for dodging out of range, and follows up with 3 more attacks aiming for the phone in the hands of Aori. Again, Aori manages to dodge out of the way, saving his life with a hair's margin, but ends up dropping his phone at the last moment. This was the moment he realizes that this weirdo robber is not after him, but actually after his phone. Thankfully, he manages to grab his phone before the man could destroy it and starts running away outside the house. Aori decides to run into a well-lit park, hoping to throw off the attacker, and texts Akari about the intruder that just entered his house. Akari continues to text him, telling him to run away and go to the cops. But instead of running or calling the cops, this idiot is talking to his sister on his phone. Before he could do anything else, the intruder catches up to him once again and tries to attack him. But this time Aori decides to stand his ground and fight back. He blocks the hammer with a kick, which actually surprises the attacker, and then Aori goes on the counter-attack, which is blocked by the intruder easily. Aori continues his assault of punches and throws in a kick for good measure. But all his attacks either get dodged or get stopped by the hammer-wielding psychopath easily. The intruder tries to swat the phone out of Aori's hands once again and barely misses. Aori has no idea what the hell is he after. When the intruder calls out his full name, claiming that he is a YouTuber whose job is posting ragebait content and trigger little girls and liberal leftists daily for absolutely no reason. He claims that he has watched his videos, but not voluntarily, and openly declares that his videos are disgusting and makes him want to puke up. Hearing this, Aori thinks that this man is one of those annoyed viewers who decided to take it upon himself to deal with him. So Aori goes on his knees and apologizes from the bottom of his heart, claiming that all he did was for money and no personal agenda since his sister was really sick. He claims that he has stopped doing all that since his sister got better and claims that he can beat him all he wants, but begs him not to kill him as he wants to help his sister more. He tells him to leave his phone untouched as he is texting his sister right now, who is pretty far away, and he doesn't want to lose touch with her. Before he could even complete his sentence though, the man attacks his phone once again with the hammer. Aori tells him to back off as he can beat him all he wants. But the man replies that he doesn't care about him and only wants to destroy the phone as quickly as possible. The intruder calms down a little, claiming that Aori sounds like an insane man right now since his sister has been dead for over a month now. Aori can't accept that reality and asks if she is dead, then who the hell is he texting with on his phone? It turns out that since America decided to attack Venezuela for absolutely no reason, her flight to America ended up getting cancelled and her health got worse in the next couple of days, leading to her death. Aori was unable to accept this reality and even missed his own sister's funeral before closing himself in his own house. He kept texting Akari on his phone, begging her to reply, when one day after he was stuffing himself with junk food, he saw the read sign appear on top of his message and got a reply from Akari. He wasn't able to believe his own eyes, but Akari seemed herself as she knew all the things that only she could have known. This made him believe that the person he was talking to was the real Akari, and he refused to believe or hear anyone saying otherwise. Suddenly his phone starts bugging out, and the video feed of Akari appears on his feed as she starts talking to him with tears running down her eyes, asking whether he was okay. Before he could reply though, the intruder manages to swat the phone away from him and slams it with his hammer, while Aori is too late to grab it safely. To his surprise though, the phone doesn't break, and suddenly a weird menacing energy starts coming out of the device as Akari materializes right in front of him through the phone. Aori can't believe his own eyes and drops down to his knees with tears streaming down his cheeks, but soon Akari's face twists and turns into a demonic mask with blood running down her eyes as she turns into a demonic being. The intruder immediately tells Aori to back off, claiming that she is not his sister anymore. He claims that the person he was talking to was a ghost. Earlier ghosts used to get trapped where people spent a lot of their time or had deep emotional connections like beaches, hospitals, toilets, music rooms, but now most of the people spend a majority of their time on their phones, and when they die, a dark part of their spirits gets stuck in their devices forever. When the social media account of a dead person, also known as a dead account, gains sentience, it starts being known as a ghost account, and that's what they are dealing with right now. He claims that now that her ghost has been summoned, he can't really destroy the phone and be done with it, which means he would have to destroy her ghost. But since this is a digitized ghost, the normal weapons won't really work on it, so they have to rely on special spiritual weapon. Just then he takes his phone out and summons a black hammer out of it, and starts beating the crap out of Akari's ghost. Aori is having a tough time watching all this, but soon the hammer guy manages to overpower the ghost and gets ready to finish it off. He throws his hammer in the sky and rains down a volley of hammers at the ghost, which completely destroy the ghost. With that, he finally gets ready to exorcise the ghost and takes out a new hammer to end it all. But Aori can't see it and grabs the guy from behind, begging him to let her live as he doesn't care even if she is a ghost. The hammer guy tells him to leave him and shouts at him that everyone in this world has people who die, but it's his job to move on and continue their legacy. This gives the ghost sufficient time to regain its composure, and it slams the hammer guy away into the wall, leaving him incapacitated and unable to move. The hammer guy tells Aoi to run away, but instead Aoi walks towards his sister and tries to reason with her. To his horror, the ghost is his sister only in the most twisted sense, as it grabs Aoi in its teeth and starts chewing on him like a pack of gum. Aoi thinks about the life he has lived till date and realizes that it's him that has kept Akari's spirit bounded to this world, and if he dies then her spirit will automatically be freed. But just then he remembers the hammer guy's words about continuing the legacy, and he jumps out of the grasp of the ghost and manages to materialize a weapon out of his phone, which shocks the hammer guy. Aoi gets ready for the final combat and stabs his own sister with the blue flame sword that he had, which exorcises the ghost, leaving Aoi unconscious on the ground. A little while later, some people from the academy where the hammer guy came from arrive to inspect everything and ask how the hell did Aoi defeat her own sister's ghost. The hammer boy reports that Aoi has a flame sword. Their leader claims that it's not a big deal to have that, but then the hammer guy reveals that his sword was actually blue. This actually shocks all of them, and the leader immediately tells them that they are taking Aoi with them back to the Miden Academy, and whether he survives there and learns or die will depend on him. When Aoi finally wakes up the next morning, he finds himself in a strange room which he assumes is a hotel. He doesn't clearly remember anything that happened last night and thinks that he had a bad dream where his sister died and turned into a ghost, and then a hammer guy popped out of nowhere, and finally he himself had to kill the ghost of his sister with his special powers. He takes a deep sigh that the nightmare was over. But the moment he turns around, he spots the hammer guy calmly drinking tea behind him. Aoi immediately asks where the hell is he, and whether they slept in the same bed. The hammer guy replies that he doesn't swing that way, so Aoi asks him about Akari, and whether everything that he remembers is the truth that happened yesterday and what happened to his dear sister. The hammer guy doesn't reply, which speaks volume, and simply hands over Aori's phone back to him, and he immediately searches up his sister, only to find that no account with that name exists anymore. The hammer guy informs him that dead accounts are the result when the social media account of a deceased person gets possessed by the ghost. So when the ghost is exorcised, the dead accounts disappear automatically. Aoi is heartbroken and asks whether he will never be able to talk to his sister again. And the hammer guy replies that it's kind of a common knowledge that dead people can't talk. To his surprise, Aoi takes the news suspiciously well, as he smiles, claiming that it's okay if his sister died since the illness was not leaving her anyways. He claims that he made a promise to his sister that he would look after himself, so he should better start doing that, as there is no point getting all weepy and sad about something that can't be changed. The hammer guy replies that it's very obvious that Aoi is simply trying to put up a front, and he finally introduces himself as Cuckoo. He starts moving out of the room and tells Aoi to follow him. They soon venture out, and Aoi thinks that they are at a very pricey hotel. But Cuckoo replies that they are at the Miden Academy, which is a school for exorcists. Aoi can't believe that this super fancy place is actually a school and claims that the room they were in looked just like the honeymoon suite of a hotel. But Cuckoo replies that it was his own room, as every student in the school live on the campus itself. He claims that the school was built intentionally to look like a hot springs hotel, to emphasize on the fact that the students of this school cleanse the world from evil. As he walks through the campus, a blondie walks past Cuckoo and makes fun of him for dropping the ball last night and almost getting killed. But Cuckoo ignores him and moves on. The blondie goes towards his friend group, where they start talking about the newest recruit and how he is a ragebait YouTuber. One of the people in the group claim that they hate the ragebait YouTubers more than anything, as they are just as annoying as Jake Paul himself. But the blue-haired girl in the group takes a liking to Aoi, thinking that he looks pretty handsome. Cuckoo gives Aoi a whole tour of the school, from the cafeteria to the shops, to the reception, and even the hot springs. But Aoi can't believe that this is a school and continues to think that this must be a prank and this is just a hotel. Once inside the hot spring, Aoi realizes that his wounds seem to be healing up at a dramatic speed, and the soothing nature of the spring starts relaxing his body, which scares him, as he might start crying for his sister if he is not careful about it. He immediately starts splashing water in his face to get out of the relaxation mode, while Cuckoo wonders where the leader is. To their surprise, the leader, named Zaki, suddenly erupts from the water with his dong flailing around. He claims that he is a monk who is also a teacher here, and shakes Aori's hand. Once inside the room, they all get dressed apart from Zaki, who stretches his body out in a towel, while Kuku tells him that he has shown Aori around the campus just as he was ordered and whether he can leave now. Zaki tells Kuku not to take this as a chore and enjoy this, but Kuku claims that he feels like this is the punishment for dropping the ball last night because he hates all rage bait YouTubers as much as anyone. Zaki completely ignores him and turns towards Aori, asking whether he is ready to enroll in this school now and become an exorcist. Aori is a little stunned at first, but then starts laughing alongside Zaki, thinking that this is some sort of a prank, while Kuku asks whether Zaki is trying to rub salt to his wound. Zaki tells Kuku that he is inviting Aori in good faith since he awakened his powers last night and can be an asset to the school. Aori is a little confused about the powers, so Zaki explains that the exorcist profession goes back a millennia where the exorcists have been in a constant battle against the malevolent spirits. He claims that the exorcists employ special techniques for unleashing spiritual energy known as psychokinesis. But everything went through a major evolution after the introduction of the internet a couple decades ago, which turned the cyberspace into a breeding ground for these spirits and ghosts as they started materializing through social media, which sent the exorcists into a panic as the techniques that they developed over the hundreds of years were of no use against these so-called ghost accounts. While Zaki was explaining everything though, Aori decides that he doesn't really care and stretches out before leaving the room and checks on Google Maps to see where he is and whether there is any sightseeing locations he can visit before leaving back for his home. Zaki immediately stops him, asking why the hell is he running away, and whether he is not curious about his own abilities and what exactly happened yesterday. Aori replies that he seriously doesn't want to know anything, nor is he interested in getting involved with the ghosts and exorcists business. He claims that he simply wants to go back to his own life, get a normal day job, eat healthy every single day and sleep on time if possible. He is never even going to start back his YouTube channel, as the only reason he did all that rage baiting was only to get enough money so he could help his sister through her treatment. But she is no longer in his life anymore. He has no reason to actually revive his channel or ever show his face on any social media accounts ever again. He claims that he is completely empty inside and would like to spend some time alone by himself while drinking some good boba tea. With that, he starts moving out. But Zaki catches up to him and asks whether he is not curious about what actually happened to her sister, and who is responsible for her death. This immediately catches his attention, and he turns around to face Zaki, who smiles, claiming that his sister didn't die just because of her medical condition, which was stable for so many months at that point. He claims that his sister was murdered by a very powerful ghost account. Aori's face darkens as he remembers the plea of his sister, as she begged him to help on her deathbed when she wasn't able to breathe properly. Zaki claims that the ghost account that is responsible for the death of his sister always targets people who have very strong ties to this world. And whenever these victims die, they always shed tears of blood, just like his sister did when she passed away. Angrily, Aori asks where the hell is that thing right now, and Zaki asks what the hell will he do even if he knew. Aori replies that he is going to kill that ghost account in cold blood, but Zaki simply smiles, mocking him as he claims that he can't do shit since he is too weak. This angers Aori beyond any measure, and he throws a powerful right cross towards Zaki, which gets intercepted by Kuku at the last moment. Aori tells Kuku to get out of his way right this instant, as he is going to pummel this idiot monk teacher who thinks he knows all so much about him. Kuku replies that he is an idiot of a teacher, but he is still his teacher. Zaki tells them all to calm down and proposes that if Aori manages to defeat Kuku with his current power level, he will acknowledge Aori's strength and tell him everything he knows about the ghost account which was responsible for his sister's death. Kuku seems to be excited about this, as he has wanted to beat the crap out of a rage bait YouTuber, and immediately takes out his hammer from his phone with a smile. But Aori doesn't really seem to care and immediately goes after Zaki once again. But he manages to dodge out of the way and starts running, shouting at Aori to fight with Kuku, not him, while Aori chases him, claiming that he is not here for his bullshit games, as someone he cared about the most in this whole damn world was murdered. Before he could catch on to Zaki though, he gets slammed in the back by Kuku, who drops him to the floor and tells him to shut the hell up, as his little misfortune doesn't make him special, as this is a very common story in this academy. Kuku realizes that Aori would not fight against him so easy, so he decides to rage bait the rage baiter by claiming that slamming him with a hammer felt even better than slamming his sister last night. That was enough to get Aori riled up, who gets up on his feet and tells Zaki that he will get all the details from him once he beats the crap out of this hammer idiot. With that, Aori immediately rushes towards Cuckoo and tries to elbow him. But Cuckoo manages to block that with his hammer and pushes him back. This commotion attracts all the students walking through the area, and they stop by to watch the result of this fight. Aori immediately lunges in for another punch, but Cuckoo dodges it and the following straight that Aori throws at him.